Did I lose Tracy?
Yeah, Tracy
All right,
just.
Tracy. Just remind me, red means I'm hot or not?
Green.
Got it. Green means go. Okay. We ready, Tracy?
Ready.
Good evening, everyone. This meeting of the Millburn Short Hills Business Organization of September 13th, 2022 is hereby called to order. Tracy, I'd ask you if you could read the sunshine compliance statement, please.
Notice of the time, date, location, and agenda of this meeting, to the extent known, was provided at least 48 hours prior to the commencement of this meeting in the following manner pursuant to the provisions of NJSA 10(4) through 6, the Open Public Meetings Act. Notice of the change of date for this meeting was provided to the Item, Star Ledger, and Tap into Millburn via email on August 8th, 2022.
Thank you, Tracy. Please stand and we'll salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Jumana Culligan is not here. Tracy Katz Levine here. Andrew Morgan, not present. Michael Parlavecchio.
Here.
Ashley Schultz.
Here.
Richard Wasserman.
Here.
Stephen Weiner.
Here.
Jackie Benjamin Lieberberg.
Here.
And Jesse Molman.
Here. Great, thank you. Okay, our mission statement. The purpose of a special improvement district is to promote, grow, and support local businesses, property owners, residents, and visitors. Millburn Township SID ordinance designates a new district management corporation whose mission is to encourage the economic, cultural, and social vitality of Millburn Township through increased marketing and visibility, improved and renewed infrastructure, and local business development engagement. Approval of minutes. We have the minutes attached as attachment 1 from June 9th, 2022. They've been distributed. Does anyone have any additions, deletions? Okay, if not, can we take a motion to approve those minutes of June 9th?
Motion.
Okay, second. I'll second it.
Second.
I'll give it to Richard. All in favor of approving these minutes?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Public comment. When invited to speak, please come to the lectern, or if you're dialing in remotely, please just clearly state your name and address and speak into the microphone so that your comments can be understood by all and properly recorded. Whenever an audience member or other member of this board reads from a prepared statement, please provide a copy to Tracy at explore@millburnshorthills.org. Speakers are asked to limit their comments to 3 minutes. And again, if
Excuse me, Michael,
yeah,
can you make sure that all the microphones are on? The volume online on Zoom is very low.
I can hear you very well.
Yeah, I kind of can barely hear you, but I mean, I hear
Okay.
you, but it's very low.
Let me try this one.
Maybe I'll move to that one.
Thank you.
How's that? Oh, how's that, Richard? Better?
A little better.
Okay. Okay, so back to public comment. Speakers, if anyone in the room wishes to come forward, please limit your comments to 3 minutes. And again, we can participate either live here or remotely. Anybody in the audience wish to speak?
Okay, let's just turn off when we're not talking.
Yeah.
I think that'll help. Okay.
I hope this is on. Is this one on, Jesse? All right. Richard, do you hear me? Again, my name is Jeffrey Feld, 11 Allen Vanderbilt Lane, Short Hills, New Jersey. Welcome back after a long summer. I have a few housekeeping matters I'd like to address. First, I don't think you have adopted yet the May 12th, 2022 minutes. They were removed from the June meetings because they're not posted on the website. You might want to look at it because certain events occurred, and I think the record has to reflect that you need that it was regarding me. Also, as tonight, you're going to be going to close executive session later to talk about legal matters. I think you should have a little bit broader discussion, explanation what legal matters is it talking about the Bear Properties litigation or something else? So I don't want to have a situation where we had before about personnel, it ended up being like the Marlowe situation where there was no contract. I just want to bring up an update. When we were here in June, I think June 7th, at the end of June, there was supposed to be a mediation of the Bear Properties case. I just want to bring everyone up to speed of what's happening. After the meeting on June 9th, myself and the township followed summary statements of what the case was. For some unknown reason, the original mediation was canceled in June. It was scheduled for the end of September. However, in the middle of the summer, I received an order, Rule 23-5, dismissal without prejudice order regarding proprietary leases that the town has omitted have no relevance. Once I received that, I filed a motion to vacate and to relist it for mediation. I want everyone to understand that Thursday at 10 o'clock, there will be a virtual hearing on that motion. Mr. Grillo, for some reason, was noticed by the court as to the Zoom information. He can share that with you, the links, and I've shared it with some other people, but the town has not posted it. A lot has happened in the town since the last meeting. We all know about two petitions for recall. Yesterday, the judge postponed the fair share housing final compliance hearing till October. At the last township committee meeting, Tara, councilwoman, basically made another demand that we have new counsel, and that made an allegation that various professionals tailor their advice to get to an outcome that they need. We also had hearings about the audit, about the calendar year 2021 audit. There's questions about the monies. What I'm suggesting to you, there's a lot of now difficulties. When this organization was created in August of 2020, there's always been an issue as to the validity. It's the elephant in this room. I'm telling you right now that there's a hearing, but also last Friday, there was an appellate division. I'll be very short, but I just need about 30 seconds.
So you can have 30 seconds.
That an appellate division opinion came up. We're remanded it back to the trial court because we're talking about the validity of an ordinance. We're not talking about planning board challenge. We're talking about validity of an ordinance. And if you look at the amendments to the rules for appellate litigation, that the state has to be notified at any time there's now a challenge. I mean, that's the rule. The law has changed since when the case started.
Can I just ask you to wrap up because we're
But
getting
I'm just
into
saying the real issue is now that come Thursday, I think there might be a new party to this dispute, and that's going to be the state attorney general. And because that's one issue that's always been around here, and that this body, to the best of my knowledge, through Oprah, has never requested an opinion from your attorney, and we have never found an attorney from the township attorney as to the validity of this organization under the law. I just want to bring up those issues, but the issue I think you should focus on is the lack of a May adoption of the minutes. Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's a clarification. Did you say they weren't adopted or they weren't posted on the website? Or both?
I think if you look at
I
the
thought we
June,
adopted them, but
I think you said they were removed, but they definitely were not posted as of this morning, but I don't think you were adopted, because I think they were removed. I don't know the procedure, but
We'll get to it.
thank you.
Hello, Vicky Powell, 358C Millburn Avenue. I just want to start off by saying happy anniversary.
Thank you.
You guys are doing a great job, a well-needed organization in the districts. You're doing awesome. Couple things. The mural. It's continuing to flake and it is not being addressed. I don't know if we're waiting for the same guy that did it last time, but I think we need to move forward and find somebody else. All these people that are painting and doing work for the town with other murals and other art projects, you need to ask them to do it, because this is a really important piece of artwork that's used in tons of advertising. I think it's a disgrace that it's being kept this way. It needs to be varnished and it needs to be addressed.
Okay.
I mean, come on. Second, I'm a little disappointed that we don't have at this moment a fall event scheduled. I think we need to have an event committee. I know I've mentioned it a couple times, but I don't think these, Amanda and Steve can do everything themselves. I think they need more heads, and I think an event committee would definitely be something that's be very beneficial to this organization to have, that could be tasked with not just thinking about little events, but bigger signature events that we can schedule twice a year maybe. But I just think you need more heads to bring events to the town. The music's great, it brings people into the downtown area, but I think it doesn't benefit everyone. I think we need to be broader in what we're doing with events and marketing the downtown. So I think we definitely need an event committee. I'd be happy to volunteer, and I know I can get other people to volunteer also. My other question is, I noticed that you started sending out kind of like an email-y type of thing that's telling what other businesses are doing, and I wanted to know, how do we get involved to tell everyone what our business, what's the protocol with being in this newsletter? Are you telling the merchants, oh, hey, if you have an event, come and, send me information. We're sending out an email blast every 2 weeks or every month, whatever it is. But I think we need to know what's gonna happen, what you're doing, what's the protocol to get into it, why you get in it, and what's the point to be in it. And that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Nobody else in the building. Do we have anyone online? Okay.
Good evening, Terry Urso, 514 Millburn Avenue in Short Hills. As I previously requested that the Zoom meetings be listed on the agenda with a hyperlink, it would be certainly helpful. So under the state law, as taxpayers to the SID assessment, we are entitled to documents under Oprah. However, requested information is not available on the website, and if it were, that would spare Mr. Grillo's valuable time. And Mr. Grillo, your snide remarks are not appreciated. In my recent Oprah, I received a compiled list of all events from calendar year 2020 to present, including dates, times, and locations. I would request that this board take a quick look with a naked eye. One could clearly see this entity Explore is favoring downtown bigly, even affording businesses which are not within the SID assessment role. And sadly, some districts with none to very little recognition. It's obvious due to a lawsuit is on Upper Millburn Avenue and mainly downtown, all while favoring a select businesses and property owners. Was this your intention, Mr. Wasserman and Ms. Lieberberg? This evening, Mr. Grillo is comparing pre-COVID vacancy rates. As stated in his first report, the methodology used by Mr. Wasserman and our BA, Alex McDonald, were to justify this entity. Also, a correction to the minutes. The TC on the first read voted anonymously to shut down Main Street. However, at second read, it was a 3-2 vote. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Wasserman. And per Mr. Grillo's contract, he has awarded himself a raise in 2023. I'd request that this board to ask the question, how many businesses are not paying rent on time? And how many merchant owners are not even taking a paycheck? Alongside myself, there is a board member, landlord, and other property owners from other districts who agree that this entity has represented nothing other than taxation without representation. Thank you and good night.
Thank you. Anybody else? Jesse? Okay.
Hi, good evening. Jean Pasternack, 342 Hobart Avenue. I have a couple questions and comments. On Saturday, I attended the pre-Rocktoberfest event that was co-sponsored by Explore and the Ed Foundation. I know Ms. Urso and others have raised the topic of safety and speeding in Lot 14. Mayor Miggins' husband is an example of why that is a necessary focus. He drove into the lot at high speed, made a sudden and risky turn into a parking space, and almost hit myself and Oyen Olabi, who were standing near the music tent speaking with other people behind them where the foot massage business is. We were frightened. We were traumatized by the situation. Mr. Miggins didn't apologize and in fact got out of his vehicle and stared both of us down. This seemed almost deliberate watching the body language, but however, I think the organization should have had appropriate law enforcement present, traffic control or whatever. You had people, children and strollers, walking toddlers and cars moving in very close proximity. If we had been hit, that would have finally awakened the township to bring safety measures to the lot. Is that what's going to take? We're going to have a tragedy to get a focus on this. So I thought it was important to bring it to your attention. The second thing is, I understand that Diane Eglo, who was a candidate for office, was at your anniversary event at the Boxcar. You are a 501c3, and I am not aware that Ms. Eglo is a member of your board or owns a business in town or has any connection in terms of the invitation list, how it was put out to the public. She was not one of those people that would have been in that definition. So I'd like to understand why she was the only candidate for township committee that was at that event. If she was the only one, I think this could be a violation of federal law in the sense that you're a 501c3 and there is not to be politics and your business mixed. So I'd like an answer on that and why that has occurred. The other thing I'd like to say is I've heard what Perry just outlined, that the majority of events are downtown for this business. As a taxpayer who puts money into the salary of the SID director, I'd like to understand how these decisions are made as to where these events take place and why he is not more conscientious about making sure that things are done fairly and spread fairly throughout the district based on the people's assessment and the taxpayers who are funding in part this organization. And why in any way would you give business to one of the businesses to host something like this? It's not even a SID member. It makes no sense to me. I also noticed that a business that's based in Summit was given some kind of opportunity to provide flowers or floral arrangements. I mean, can't we keep our dollars within our own township? Isn't that what everyone else does? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay. Township Committee report. Richard.
On mute.
Richard, are you on mute?
Sorry about that. Yeah, I'm back.
Thank you.
Anyway, I just want to apologize for not being able to join you tonight. I didn't feel great this morning, and sure enough, I was diagnosed with COVID this morning. So we have to be vigilant because this COVID is still floating around. Anyway, so in terms of my report, I'm thrilled. I'm absolutely thrilled that Explore Millburn was able to spearhead this important signage project that will directly assist both our businesses as well as our residents. These signs will direct residents as well as visitors to accessible public parking. People don't know this, but we actually have 44 public parking spots in the garage, and they're available for our residents and our visitors. It will, the signage will also alleviate traffic, and it will also assist in helping with the ongoing shortage of available parking that we all see, time to time. And I just think it's going to be very, very helpful to the township. It's a direct help, to the township to make it easier for visitors to find parking, to come to our businesses, to enjoy our parks, to come to Millburn and not have any hassles in terms of finding parking. I'm also very proud that that this project came out of a parking study that Explore originated, and this was a direct result of that parking study. Also, I want to thank Steve Grillo and Alex McDonald for working together, Town Hall and Explore, in terms of the signage and also in terms of placement. And I also want to point out that this signage really has really been discussed. I mean, as a resident of over 30 years, this was really what I would call low hanging fruit. This is something that was definitely needed in the township. And I think that this signage is really going to help people visit our township and help our businesses, which is why we're all here tonight. So that's basically my report. Maybe Steve, can you walk us through the technical? I know that we're still working. We're still working on the signage. It's not completed yet. We're hoping to have the signage completed and placed in the next month. And Steve, do you want to just walk through some of this also in terms of the signs?
Sure.
that
Thank you, Richard. And thank you for your support on this project. So the Township Committee authorized Alex to proceed with this project a couple of months ago. We've been going through the design process with the vendor. What you see here is there will be 9 new metal signs placed throughout the downtown in strategic locations to drive people towards the parking deck, as well as other locations where we have older non-matching signage. So this will be the beginning of renovating the signage throughout the entire commercial district, not just the downtown. So this will be a process. If you go to the next slide, you'll see these are 2 metal signs, which are going to replace the wooden ones that are in what we've created as the art alley. So this was part of the parking study, was to encourage pedestrian traffic from Millburn Avenue to the parking deck and vice versa. We have a great pedestrian space, but it's not well signed. And so the one on the right will be when you're coming from Goldberg, on the left when you're coming from Springbone and Goldberg's going towards Essex, and then coming back down on Essex. So those will be new metallic signs replacing the wooden ones that are pretty out of date. This matches the color scheme that we put in for the banners. And then also these will be on metal poles. The next one is it's an acrylic sign. So it says parking. This is probably where the most challenging piece of this was. We wanted to make sure that this was not garish. And so but it was also informative. And so we went through a number of iterations on this, but we think this is the best suited one for the deck. The next slide is it's a blade sign. You can't really see it in the image, but it's actually 2-sided, protruding from the building, and gives an arrow to whether you're coming up or down Lackawanna. So whether you're making a right or a left, because right now there's no signage that indicates where you turn. And then the final is actually a replacement of what I'm told was a banner a number of years ago. The banner wasn't made of sturdy enough material, evidently. And so we are using the existing infrastructure that's on the building. And so this is going to be a vinyl banner, similar to what we have on the street poles. And then we've added the EV charging icon, which was actually a number of residents have come up to me just when I was walking down Essex Street and saying, there's a place to charge your car, but they didn't know it. And so that's something that we've added. And this can be replaced if it's damaged or if we need to make any changes to it. But we're very excited. It's been a long process to design this in a way that makes sense. But I do hope that we get this installed certainly in the next month or two, and definitely by the end of the year.
Could I ask a quick
Sure, go
question?
ahead.
Oh, sorry. Will all the parking lots be numbered? Because I noticed in the first picture, it said like lot 2, and that sort of means nothing to me as a, you know.
So it's something that we struggle with in terms of parking in general. Every parking lot has a number. Every parking lot is numbered on the town's map. And so there are, and I believe it's on the app too, right? Is when you pay by the number of the lot. And so when you're driving, it may have no meaning to you, but it may also have meaning to you. So we tried to play both sides of the fence. But yeah, they will have the number on them, and they'll also say public parking on the top. That's actually one edit that the vendor is making right now. So
instead of just the P, right?
Correct. So what you're seeing here is a couple of days old, but we're moving quickly on it. But yeah, that's going to be one amendment.
Okay, thank you.
Terrific. Any other questions on parking? Okay. Thank you, Richard and Steve. Next up, we have the Business Administrator's Report. Jesse, you're up.
Yes, so the only report I have this evening is an update on the Taylor Park Gateway project. So the Gateway Subcommittee is still going through revisions of the consensus design that was put together by NKW. And most likely in one of the October Township Committee meetings, that will be presented to them. Once it gets presented to the Township Committee, we'll make sure that Steve sends it to the rest of the board. And I would recommend, and Steve and Mr. Rill is on our subcommittee, that we can let everyone know when that presentation is happening. So if there are any business owners that are interested in seeing that design when it's presented, that will be available to them.
Thank you, Jesse. Treasurer's report, Stephen and Steve.
Yes, thank you. As included in the package for the meeting, we have our budget report. The report is as of September 1, which we'll be doing probably going forward, just the first of the month for consistency on dates. The account balance, the bank account balance on September 1 was $111,490. Another new bit of data on here, which I think is super helpful, is toward the bottom where it just summarizes our actual revenue, which was $299,236. Our actual expenses, or I guess, let me just see, are those expenses to date? Those are projected. Correct, projected to the end of the year, so they are an estimate. I mean, we're in September, but I think we're pretty good with the estimate. The difference is a little over or almost $32,000. So that is a projected positive, a surplus, which will easily feed into our $20,000 contingency reserve that we bring forward every year and carry on our books. And so the potential carryover after that 20,000 is almost $12,000. Now that's again an estimate, and it could be a little less, maybe a little more, but again, we have about a quarter is left worth of spending. Any questions? Great, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, special presentations. I know we have a lot for Amanda to do today. So
Okay.
you're both up.
So we had started work on this survey in, it was April, May, we talked about it. Worked on it over the summer and implemented this. We had 122 respondents. What I have for you here are highlights from this, key takeaways. We're gonna have a much more detailed report for the annual meeting. And this is data we really wanted to inform our decisions making forward for marketing, for events, for business trainings. So I just want to go through this quickly with you. The business growth and training key takeaways. The focus of over 50% of businesses is customer growth through store sales, in-store sales. Almost 40% of businesses do not sell products online. They're missing an opportunity to grow through sales online. The top 3 trainings, business operations trainings desired are website and apps, financing, and CRMs, customer relationship management. The best ways for businesses to learn or utilize tools is through in-person workshops, Zoom seminars, or YouTube. And weekday mornings are the ideal times for businesses to access trainings. Next one, this is just one of the examples of the charts, but if you look at this here, this is the question about where you sell your products, what platforms. 60% from the website, and then 30% do not sell online. So that's a really telling number. Moving forward, marketing needs, interests, and capacities. Key takeaways, we wanted to know what people currently are doing with their social platforms. So the top 5 currently used are Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, and Twitter. Almost 60% of businesses want to focus on expanding on Instagram. So that really helps us with training and choices moving forward. The non-social media marketing that businesses can immediately benefit from are paid searches and paid digital advertising. Over 60% of businesses want to access social media marketing trainings and tools, and I'll speak about that later on, but that's a wonderful statistic to work with. The largest target market, over 90% of SID businesses, is the age range of 31 to 45. And then the primary audiences that businesses want to promote to are Millburn, Short Hills, and that should be surrounding communities. So these things are important for me in the work that I do when we start to do a lot more paid boosts and promotions, that we are going after the same audience that the SID businesses want to go after. So we want to support them in every effort we do. Almost 60% of businesses do not have a formal budget. That's a really powerful number, and one that we will use to put together trainings and for people so that they can plan more. So when we're coming to them with opportunities and events and other things, they don't know where they stand, they don't know what they have. So we want to kind of start from the ground up with some of these businesses and say, you know, here's just a basic this, that, and just move them forward step by step. The next chart is just showing the social media chart on how 59% wanted to expand Instagram, which I have discussed. Event preferences and capacities. This is really important with what we're doing. Businesses indicated that they felt private events, small events, and themed events would help them. Businesses did not express interest in large community events. During the week, Thursday evenings are the ideal time for businesses to participate in events. And during the weekend, Friday through Sunday, the time frame from 10 to 5 is the ideal time for businesses to participate in events. Over 50% of businesses indicated that staffing was preventing them from participating in events. I don't think this is a surprise, but it certainly allows us to know why some people are not participating, and something that we are working towards with improvements on our website. We've been doing postings that we're hiring whenever we find out someone is looking for staff. We also have a new section on our website as well. Challenges, if any, and this is just showing that the 55% is staffing. Business identification. All business categories are represented in this survey. And when I'm talking about categories, it's what we have in the business directories. That's fitness, food and beverage, medical, etc. All the districts are represented in this survey. Over 70% of the businesses are owned by women. This is another thing that will help inform the time we put into and resources to help these business owners, because there's a lot of support out there, whether it be grants and other things. So, and then almost 30% of businesses are minority owned. Again, another fact that can help us help them. And this is that graph right there. So 74% women owned. And then finally, communication preferences. Over 80% of businesses indicated that email is the best form of communication for them, for us to share information with them. Over 40% of businesses would like to be communicated with via text. That's very helpful. So that's something that we can invest in. And then almost 40% of businesses like to be communicated through Instagram posts. We're already doing that. And we do that periodically with direct messages as well. And then this last slide just shows you that breakdown. So I think from this and from what we'll bring to you at the annual meeting, it just shows how important the work we do is, the business education aspect, marketing and social media. And also it's really helped educate us on how we want to move forward with special events and other things that people can participate in and will want to participate in. And also there may be some government assistance with local government that we can provide to them, as well as we saw with the minority owned and the women-owned businesses, a lot of opportunities there. Does anyone have any questions? So I just want to thank you all for helping with this. I appreciate that. Yes.
What was your biggest surprise? Is it the fact that so many of their businesses are women owned? And
I mean, it was a surprise and helpful. Because there are a lot of, even within New Jersey, resources that you can bring to the table and partner with as well.
Right.
So yeah, that was one of them. But I think it was also good to reinforce with like the social media aspect, if that's what people are concentrating on, that's the knowledge they want. Because I'll talk more about the trainings we're doing right now.
Great.
That's it.
Thanks for all the work on this.
Yeah, thank you very much. That's a lot. Steve, yes, you're next. Okay.
Yes, we have a little video that was on social media today for you guys about the state of the SID. And I'll go through all of these numbers, but we got some nice social media feedback today, talking about the reduction in the vacancy rate, the number of new businesses, and then of course, pictures of all of those great businesses that have moved in. 59 have actually moved in since the SID was formed in August of 2020. So if you haven't shared this or seen this on Facebook or Instagram, please do. It's always nice to see positive things on social media. So the state of the SID. So as you know, every 6 months we publish the state of the SID report, which tracks vacancy statistics, business data, and recommends potential strategies for growth. I'll wait for Jesse. We practiced this 3 times today. All right, so as a starting reference point, the SID is comprised of 5 commercial districts, as we all know, 206 assessed commercial tax lots, and 354 storefronts and second floor retailer office. There are 468 total businesses within the SID, which most people are incredulous to when I tell them that there's that many in our SID. As you'll see from the 2 charts on this slide, just about 2/3 of the total assessed commercial lots in the district are located in the downtown, that's on the left. However, the downtown only represents 43% of the total assessment, with high value properties on Morris Turnpike and the Wyoming Business Center representing 39% combined. We go to the next slide. The 468 businesses are fairly equally divided among the downtown core, right, 54%, and the outer districts, 46%. The majority of businesses in the SID are in professional services, medical, and food and drink sectors, and I'll discuss some of the opportunities for enhancing those sectors later in the presentation. This report is also the first time that I've included a chronology on business openings related to the creation of the SID. As you can see from the chart at the bottom of the slide, 59 businesses, or 12.6% of total businesses, have opened since the creation of the SID in August 2020. 33% or 56% of all new, 33 businesses or 56% of all new ones have opened in the downtown, and 26 or 44% of all new businesses have opened in the outer districts. So nearly half of all new businesses have opened outside the downtown. I think that's a strong indicator of equitable growth throughout the entire SID. The greatest percentage of growth was on Upper Millburn Avenue, where 9 new businesses have opened since the creation of the SID. That represents 21.5% of the total businesses in that district. So 1/5 of the businesses that are there today opened since the SID was created. On our next slide, you see that each state of the SID report counts at the total number of storefronts and second floor office and retail. So that represents 354 spaces, shall we call them. What we do is we then calculate that rate based on different types of uses, which you see in that first column there that says category. As you can see from the chart, 321 of these spaces, or 90.7%, are currently occupied, and an additional 10 are under contract, which results in an occupancy rate of 93.5%. That's that first red line. Conversely, 13 sites have been for sale or leased for less than a year, and they're shown on the 4th line. This represents just 3.7%. I feel confident that many of these will be occupied. There's some prime properties here that'll be occupied, I think, within the next few months. The main issue, though, from an economic development and policy perspective, lies with the additional 10 sites that are shown here as long-term vacancy, that 2.8%. We call these stranded assets. I'm going to dedicate a slide at the end of this report to some of the organizational strategies and municipal policies that can be implemented to address this, and I think re-enhances the importance of having a business advocacy group in the town to deal with some of these challenges. The overall vacancy rate has declined steadily from 16% in mid-2020 to 6.5%, which is within the normally accepted range for a SID this size. I fully expect that rate will continue to drop, and my organizational goal, as I've said many times before, is to get to 5%. I think we can do that by the next report in February. I think we're trending in that direction. And I think overall, there's no doubt that the trajectory is really positive. That is a good graph when you're looking at vacancy rate. The vacancy rate by district has also decreased in 3 of the 5 districts. Downtown has been reduced from 8.8% to 5.4. Upper Millburn Avenue is decreased from 23.6% to 11.7, and Short Hill Station is fully occupied. We did see increases in Wyoming. There's a little bit of a statistical anomaly there. There's only 20 actual storefronts. So you have all of those medical tenants and things that don't count towards this. And so we have, there's only 3 vacancies, but it's a high percentage because of the storefront. So that number's a bit skewed. And then also on Morris Turnpike, we do have a slight increase, and the reality there is that we are dealing with these stranded assets that we need to deal with. We have some like Bill's Army Navy, and the old YB Fitness. There's a couple of those larger spaces that need to be addressed. But do keep in mind those 2 districts, Wyoming and Morris Turnpike, they only represent 1.7% of all total vacancies. So there was an uptick, but the uptick is a bit of a statistical oddity. So then getting to the final slide here, strategies for addressing long-term vacancies. So I attended a conference earlier this year that focused specifically on stranded assets in special improvement districts. And the recommendation from that conference that they're shown here on the slide. And as you see, we're taking some of those steps to address those assets. And it's going to become one of our core initiatives from an economic development standpoint going forward, especially in 2023. Some of those recommendations are specifically related to long-term vacancies, the individual properties, and others look at the business district as a whole. What is the impact that these stranded assets have on existing businesses? So the first recommendation is to identify a municipal team, including SID, municipal staff, advisory committees, land use boards. We do this on a daily basis, and I continue to expand my discussions with the planning and zoning boards and those officers. And there are certain issues that I brought to their attention that we're looking to remedy. And that's good government practice too, right? To evaluate your ordinances and your standards and make sure that they comply with the modern situation on the ground. We obviously maintain a property inventory and monitor vacancies, and we have an accurate list of available spaces. We recently launched, as Amanda said, a website landing page and social media campaign to list and promote available properties. And as Amanda presented earlier, we performed a business survey to define those challenges and to activate various strategies to try to increase the economic vitality. Explore is also working with the township to address potentially problematic zoning regulations and codes related to parking, business signage, and restrictions on specific uses. 2 specific issues that include a restriction on medical uses in the downtown. It's a major driver for the local economy, which you see from the business census, but medical uses are prohibited in the downtown without variance, and parking requirements, especially for office tenants on Morris Turnpike. So those are things that I'm going to work with the town on trying to modernize. The town's also worked to improve post-COVID related dining demands, but I think there's still a lot of work to do. We've had enormous success with the Main Street pedestrian mall, as well as the cafe seating licenses that businesses have for their sidewalks. However, there's been limited interest in parklets, which we do allow. More work needs to be done to modernize pickup and parking for DoorDash, Uber Eats, and other similar growing services. We've also been working with the town to implement cost-effective infrastructure solutions. That includes our parking study, which led to the signage project. I serve on the Essex Street two-way committee. And then we've been leading on efforts like parking pilots, the deck signage, and pedestrian safety measures. We're also working on public art and vacant storefront beautifications, which Amanda will talk about in a moment. And hopefully that will beautify some of these stranded assets. All of this work will help us create a more effective business environment and reduce vacancies over time. In 2023, we're looking forward to expanding our role in terms of marketing the district while also relying on our strong relationship with local brokers. The entire business community needs to work together collaboratively to recruit emerging local entrepreneurs, local and regional businesses, national chains, and I think most importantly, capture the growing sector of collectives, pop-ups, business incubators, and accelerator programs. Those are ideal fits to occupy some of these more challenging spaces. And finally, and I think this is really interesting, it shows one of the big changes that I'm seeing in the real estate community is that you have to backfill these vacancies with innovative uses. So that's strategies like subdividing ground floor storefronts, prioritizing short-term leases, which is always a struggle, supporting incubator spaces, and then of course encouraging not-for-profits, culturals, arts, and community uses. So I think a lot is going in the right direction with the work we've been doing over the last year and a half. There's plenty of work to do. This is not the kind of problem to solve overnight, but I think having the SID here with a focus on strong economic development is going to allow this town to address these challenges, but also staying in the character of the community that we strive to keep. Are there any questions? I think I did that report in record time for this vacancy study.
Yeah, that was fantastic. No, I don't have any questions. Anyone have questions? It's a lot to chew on.
And I want to thank Tracy. She's the second set of eyes on all of this data. So thank you, Tracy.
So thanks for putting it all together. I know we talked about, there's a lot of data that goes into consolidating, and it's great to see the positive momentum and also the strategies that we can all work on. Keep our lives interesting.
Steve, can I ask you a question?
Yeah, of course.
I see, that you've done that Explore Millburn has done, again, I'm talking for myself here, has done such great work here. There's so many different things that you touch on. But I know that when we introduced the ordinance, I think there was also a concern that when businesses were coming to town, when sole proprietors or people wanted to open a business, that there was nobody on the other end of the phone. And now that Explore is up and running, can you just speak to the type of, maybe just some of the experience you have when people call town hall and they want to talk to somebody? Is that what part of your work, what percent of your work engages that, when people are calling? Is that a big part of what you do day to day?
It's funny because I was just joking with Amanda that on an average day I get between 25 and 30 phone calls. So some of those are from existing stakeholders with issues, related to regulations and things like that. But I get a fair number of calls from people who are at the very early stages of meeting with a property owner or a broker. I've built good relationships with established local brokers, new brokers to town. They all have my contact information, my cell phone, and they encourage their potential tenants to reach out to me. And we do kind of a soft run, and I explain to them what the expectations are for that type of use. Obviously, I also have resources here. We have our business administrator, we have our zoning officer, our construction officer, being in touch with the fire department. And so really, I'm that initial point of contact to deal with the open-ended questions that these businesses have. So, the reason that we know where these new businesses are is not, because we just walk down the street and get lucky. We work with them from the time that they contact us, whether it's phone, email, or just sometimes walking into town hall. But I think I've had many people say that they're refreshed to know that there's a friendly face that can answer the questions for them, and then take them through that process of the ribbon cutting and the launch. And we have our business success kit that we distribute to all these businesses about how do you pick up the garbage and what kind of insurance should you get, and are you in a flood zone, and all of these things that businesses, they're tasked with so much just opening. We're here to help them. So Richard, I think the answer is it's a daily process. And it's, I think, one of the funnest parts of the job because you're constantly meeting new people with new interesting ideas.
Good. Thank you so much. I'm so happy you touched on that, because I think that was really, really something that I was thinking about early on.
Thank you, Stephen. Thank you, Amanda. Amanda, you look like you're ready for the next subject on our agenda. Go ahead.
Yes.
Marketing and events.
All right, I will try to be quick.
I told her it's only our fault if we're here 3 hours.
So just a quick recap of summer events and programming, and we also have these signs over here that we put out at the anniversary party. So these are things that you can look at as well for statistics. But we had 36 live music performances. Our Open Streets program using the Main Street Pedestrian Mall, we had 27 different events. So that could be yoga, chess, there was a live cycling there. So it was really nice to see it used when we're not playing music. And then community and business events. So that number, I'm just missing, I think that's 27 too. That's ribbon cuttings, that's merchant mixers or events like Girls Night Out. And then Meet the Merchants videos, we have 21. And then we have feature videos, 10. So we did a couple of commercials for, one was for the Essex area, and one was for Main Street near Taylor Park, to try and give them a boost because they're not right at the pedestrian mall. And then we've had some other features, working with some other vendors as well. The next thing on the list, does anyone have any questions, first of all? Okay, so the next thing on the list here is public art program. This has just been a delight to work on. This is SIDA, Explore, and Millburn Township and other partners. So I'll wait till you pull that up, Jesse. Okay, so what we have here to show you are the fall projects that we are working on. And I did want to mention, Vicky, when you were talking about maintenance, that is something that is a part of our planning, is anything that we are going to put out there. We know approximately what costs we may be incurring and how to keep things up. We don't want to just install them and then walk away. So the projects that we have, there's a variety of them. The first one is Michael Cooper. You may be familiar with him. He did the All Together Now sculpture. So he made a submission that's potentially for the site at ShopRite, including the mill wheel. And the next one, this is Liliana Drake, and she made a submission to put on that wall of style and canine in Short Hill Station. And I'll get into more detail about that work, but that's a potential site for that. Lindsay Palumbo, I think a lot of you are familiar with her chalk artwork. And so we're looking with her, I met with her for potentially having works put down as like a decal, something that you can walk on, but it still has her artwork there, so it's protected. And we're looking at potentially doing those at Short Hill Station or outside of the entrances to Taylor Park. And I'm not going to say her name right, Shashki. So this is one piece from her that we talked about in the committee meeting, that this would be a really lovely piece to decorate the parking kiosks with. And so I've been in touch with the town about that, and we're just figuring out sizing and safety issues there. But this is going to be a really neat thing to put up instead of just signage, Explore Millburn or something like that, something that's another kind of beautification. We have Carol, who is an art director and artist, and these are actually all photographs that she has manipulated. And I'll show some before and afters that she shared with me, but it's really incredible the process she goes through. So we saw these as ideal artwork to install in vacant storefront windows. You can see past them, they'd be like a window cling, and so you can still see in to see the property, the commercial property, but it fills that space and makes it a piece of artwork instead of kind of a negative aspect to that property. And so what my process has been since the last SIDA meeting, I've been talking with all the artists. We're getting estimates for whether it's paint or vinyl, and then we're going to bring that together, and I'll present that at the SIDA meeting. And then once approved, we'll go to the property owners and say, this is what we'd like to do. Would you like to have this? And then we look to try and have this stuff installed in October, if everything goes according to plan. Does anyone have any questions? Jackie?
I just want to add that it's the Cultural Engagement Committee. It's also Art Advisory. And it is also, the Cultural Engagement is both residents as well as the Paper Mill Playhouse has a representative on that. Some of our community groups, the Chinese Association, the Indian Association, they are also represented on this. You all know how enthusiastic I am about public art. I also want to mention Nunez Gallery, One River, Artie Vino, we're also all invited. Lorraine Barak and the Art Advisory. And I think what's interesting also to note is that we have both residents and non-residents that made contributions. So, this is the first run at a cohesive public art initiative. And I'm just really excited about it. And I want to thank Amanda and Steve for really their leadership in spearheading this, because there's lots of groups. and lots of opinions and lots of personalities. And I just want to say that the process took place over a series of Zoom meetings. This was not, we set the criteria, we collected the artist portfolio, we looked at the artist portfolio, we made some business decisions about where and when and how. Steve also was instrumental in looking at grant opportunities for these public art initiatives. So I'm grateful that the committee gets to look at the Reader's Digest synopsis of this process. And I'm just thrilled that we are now setting up an infrastructure and a pathway moving forward, that this will become a new initiative for the collective organizations. And just want to thank you both for all of you've done. Thank you.
Thank you. No, it's exciting. I see this as the beginning of a robust public art program. So we're excited to get these installed.
And just so you guys are aware, this is only the 2022 selected pieces. We received pieces from over 20 artists from around the county. And some of those are put into the 2023 bucket. This year, we're leveraging funding that the town has provided us through a grant that they have access to. We intend to do the same next year. So at this point, we really have the better part of a year and a half's worth of funding and projects to do. So I think it's a great step forward for public art in this community, where we're glad to play a role in that. I do want to bring these back to you once we have more data at our annual meeting in October, and so that we can get your final buy-in and sign off on some of these designs. And so that'll put us still at the beginning of October, and then we can proceed from there. But Amanda's done a great job pushing through, working with different artists and property owners, and Jesse was instrumental in providing the funding both for this year and next year. So it was a big collective effort from really 30+ people on this.
Good, quick question, sorry. I think, Jack, you mentioned public art, maybe grants. Do we have any pending applications? Or I would think this kind of public art there's got to be a lot of grant programs out there.
Yeah, so as I said, we have $15,000 this year from a state DCA grant. We'll have that $15,000 again next year. That's been allocated. And then we have a $10,000 grant under review right now from Essex County and their arts program. And I have an interview later this month. Amanda and I will be going to meet with the Essex County Recreation and Public Art folks. So hopefully, next year, if both of those grants hit, we'll be at $25,000 for both a portion of operations, and then the majority of that is stipends for the artists and installation. So I think 25,000 is a really great number to.
That'd be terrific.
I think to speak to that too, we want to do this right, because this is going to be our portfolio to go after grant money and other funding in the future. So what Steve has gotten started, once I have time more over the winter, I can apply for more grants and things as well. Okay, next, fall winter event overview. Okay, we are very excited. These are highlights for you. We're going to be doing a hosting for the holidays showcase event. It will be held at 12 Home Street. It's currently an empty space. They're working on getting another person to lease that. And this is going to be a unique event. It's to provide an opportunity for services to get leads in business, meaning caterers, photographers, florists, home decor, and interior designers, so that someone that attends this, they can get everything they need in order to host for the holidays. Get all of those things checked off, even, that may be the cocktail dress you're wearing at a specific event. So started to work on this, and Vicky, I will definitely be in touch. We'd love to have you involved in that.
We really want this to be a signature event going forward. This can be a really high-end, exciting event.
Yes.
And do you have the date for that?
Yes, at this
Please.
point, it's going to be November 3rd. It's a Thursday evening. And then I will come back to you with more detail, but I just want to get the partners underway and everything before I do that. And that's something that's not really happening around. There's a lot of competition for holiday events. We are working with the chamber on helping them expand the Winter Walk into the business district. So it's usually kind of just in Taylor Park. And so I've been working with Heather on that. And we're getting estimates on other options to kind of, whether it's the art alley or the courtyard or other places so that people will walk into town, not just go to Taylor Park. So looking forward to seeing what comes from that. We are going to have 2 winter villages. They will include, have you seen the garden dome, like igloos?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll have those fire pits for the weekend of December 3rd and 4th. That we will also have carolers and a brass band that weekend. And then the weekend of December 10th and 11th, we will do the same thing with the Winter Village, but we will have a live ice sculpture demonstration, as well as a DJ. And then the other main thing we're planning is going to be a character day. So that will include Buddy the Elf, the Grinch, Olaf from Frozen, and they'll have different zones throughout the SID to pop into shops and take pictures with people and just make them have a little more fun while they're shopping. So those are the key events that we're working on. We have a few more smaller things, but just wanted to give you a highlight of that. Any questions? Okay. And then,
Michael looked like he was about to
do
volunteer.
you have a question?
No?
Yeah, no.
I have a question.
Yeah.
These sound good. Are we looking to revisit it all? We've talked about a few times the townwide gift card or cards. Is that something that's still a possibility at all?
From a budget perspective, it's not a possibility this year. It's definitely a possibility, and it's in the 2023 budget as something that we could consider. We have received a proposal, you may recall, from a group called Beyond Maine, which is a North Jersey-based group that has a similar program in a number of communities. I think it was the best one that we found. Would be happy to revisit that towards November, December, and see if we can get that infrastructure in place. In terms of a gift card program for the holidays, I think that's something we could do. It just wouldn't be as formal, but we could, potentially do something where certain businesses are offering. But I think,
yeah, I wasn't looking to rush something through. It was more about, I just knew we've talked about it in the past, and if holiday time certainly seems like a key thing, but it sounds like it's more a 2023. So I'd say let's just keep it on the list.
it's a high priority for 2023.
Yeah.
I would really like to do that. And I think the group that we've been going back and forth with has the capacity to do this.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions? Okay, and then ongoing business education. So I think going over the business survey results really helps what I'm gonna just review quickly. We have a set of workshops going on right now from Focal Point. And there are 3 sets of them, and then there's 4 classes in each set. And so they highlight, they go over revenue, access to capital, technology, and succession planning. And it's really interesting looking at some of the data, and I'll bring more of that to you, as I said, but some people, they want to know how to bring more money and to support their businesses. A lot of people have technology issues, so it's really supporting what the needs are out there. And then the UC EDC, which we established the partnership with, I guess, was it in the spring or summer? That they did a presentation here at one of the meetings. We have a class on marketing tools. And we also have a class on digital marketing and social media. And we've already been getting responses, people that want to attend. And I think the timing is just amazing for that. So these are just a few things that we're working on, and then we'll be taking the data we collected and identifying other trainings to provide in the winter and in the spring.
I just have a question.
Yeah.
Will we be able to put those on a Zoom link, so if people can't attend the meeting, that they'll be able to look at it at some future date, or I think that would be.
Yeah, so we can absolutely do that. We intend to. So these are free and open to any business in the SID, of course. The first class is September 22nd, so that's a week and 2 days from now. So we've got, I think, 7 or 8 businesses registered, and we're getting them, by the hour, it feels like.
That's
so
for the UC.
That's for the Union County EDC. So it's September 22nd, 9 a.m. Any business or property owner in the SID is eligible to attend. And then October 27th, so a month after that, is the social media. And that's also at 9 a.m. here at Town Hall also. free and open to any business in the city.
The focal point ones, 2 of them started this week, one started on Monday, one started this morning. And then the third one will be in October. So we've already been getting good feedback from the people that have attended.
I think we have 14 businesses that are enrolled, and they get 90-minute sessions, 4 sessions, one for each of those topics. And then at the end, they get a free in-person 90-minute intake and business audit by the business counselor. So I think a really good value because it's free.
How did you find Focal Point?
Focal Point, the gentleman that is the local rep, it's you buy a franchise. He is a member of the Chamber of Commerce.
Okay.
And so I was at one of the breakfasts. We got to talking about, what businesses in the town needed. Obviously, I think we all knew that business education was a key factor. And so we already had the Union County EDC signed up to do the 2 marketing and social media programs. And so I said, I think access to capital, succession planning, those are all real world business issues and that many of our businesses face. And so we're really excited that we're diving headfirst into business education. And I think it's a valuable part of the SID operation that a lot of people don't see necessarily. They see the plantings and the events. They don't see that, we're providing these free resources to businesses.
Questions?
Exciting stuff coming up. Thank you. Okay, Executive Director report, Mr. Executive Director.
That would be me. I'm going to skip over the success tracker. You have it all in your packets there. We've actually touched on virtually all of it, so I'm going to save you the time. We have completed one of our public art projects. That is the Glenwood Drive fence weaving project on Upper Millburn Avenue. And so an artist from Maplewood, her name is Nancy Cook. She answered the call. It's evidently quite a specific skill set to be able to weave a fence. And so this is all organic, essentially kind of thick gauze. And it's all obviously multiple colors. And this, if it falls off, it's all natural. Birds can make nests out of it and all that good stuff. She's done some really intricate work, and she's been at it for 6 weeks. And if you see, actually, there's the thin string there is actually reflective. So at night or when the sun hits it, it has a glistening look. And so we're really excited about it. It's a temporary art piece. One really nice thing that the town did for us was this fence was falling in actually on the creek behind it. So they fixed the fence as best they could, put in some of those large rocks, and then actually repaved a portion of the road as well. So it was a nice multi-benefit type of project. But this will probably last us for 12 months or so, and then we'll consider another project. But I think that turning Glenwood Drive into a rotating public art gallery is a great way to use a space that has been underutilized and certainly was an eyesore to the community. And so this is something that I think we worked between the SID and the township, and Alex giving us the permission and DPW helping us out. It's been a fun project, and I can't wait to see what we do in the years to come as we try different things with this space. Stephen asked a question about potential funding for 2023. So public art, I mentioned we have a grant from DCA through the state, through the town, I should say. That's $15,000 that we're using this year for public art, $15,000 we're using next year for public art. And then we have an application in with Essex County for another $10,000 for public art. We should know, I think late October, early November, they're planning on making their decision. Obviously, we have a bench of plenty of art to choose from. You didn't see that today because you got the Cliff Notes, but if we get that $25,000, we'll have quite a nice nest egg to do projects, and it's essentially shovel ready. We also applied for a minority and women-owned business program. We talked about this earlier this year in trying to create access to capital and other micro grants for women and minority businesses. We were looking at utilizing our own budget, thought maybe there's a better way to do that. By going after grant funding. We applied to Investors Bank originally. Investors was purchased by Citizens, so I had to reapply because, I don't know, technology, man, I don't know. So I had to just submit the exact same application. Good thing I saved it. So a lot of copy and paste, but hopefully we will get notification at least by the end of the year as to whether we secured that. And that would be a $20,000 grant that we can utilize for that specific program. And then in terms of general operating and special projects, Main Street, New Jersey, if you all recall, last year, we were denied to access to that program because we didn't have nonprofit status at the time of application, which is a requirement. We subsequently, of course, have received nonprofit status, but the program was closed once we received it. I had been told by the DCA that in 2022, they were going to open the program. That ended up not being the case. So we are hoping that in 2023, we'll be able to do that. And looking at other communities that have received Main Street grants, it's anywhere from 25,000 up to 75 to 100,000 for strategic planning projects. Some are actually bid formations because you don't have to be a bid to be a Main Street community. Public art, all these types of strategic initiatives. So hopefully that program will come about. I know it's always been a question as to whether we're going to apply. The answer is the minute they let us, we will. Then I want to just step now to the 2023 draft budget. I've gotten all the real exciting stuff, the vacancy numbers and budget numbers. Thanks, Amanda. So tonight I am presenting the 2023 draft budget. So you'll remember this from last year. As a board, you'll review and comment on this budget. So I'm going to incorporate these comments into the final budget, which will be presented at next month's annual meeting. Once the budget is formally adopted by this board, it's then presented to the Township Committee for final approval. So therefore, please see this as an interactive discussion. Concerning income for 2023, there is no proposed change to the assessment. I'm just going to pull out the spreadsheets I have in front of me. So compared to 2022, this remains at $204,000. The town will contribute 50% of my salary as required by the establishing ordinance, which adds another $54,710 to the income. I'm also estimating, as Stephen mentioned, that we'll be carrying over approximately $10,000 in unspent funds. It's a pretty conservative estimate, may likely be higher based on potential future spending. We may spend less than we consider, or potential sponsorships that Amanda and I are working on for holiday events.
Steve, should we ask questions as you go, or do you want to go through and then we ask?
Go for it. Well,
What do you prefer?
why don't we do it at the end?
Okay.
Yeah, I'll be pretty quick.
Yeah,
with this one.
that's good.
This totals $268,710 in projected income, which you see on the spreadsheet. Additionally, we expect $15,000 from the town, as I mentioned, which will be paid directly from the town to various vendors. So while the services will be rendered by the SID and overseen by the SID, that money won't be reflected in the budget. Regarding expenses, I'm going to go down the list in your packets line by line so that everyone can follow along. Concerning staffing, I'm proposing an increase of $7,670 in total, which includes a scheduled contractual increase for myself of $2,670 and an additional $5,000 for the marketing staff for an administrative support line. This includes increasing Amanda's hourly rate and hours per week and gives us options for interns as well. Given our workload and the success that she's had, I strongly recommend this course of action. The technology line shows a slight increase of $300, which anticipates potential cost increases from vendors. The professional services line does the same. And you'll notice that the budget for audit services is $6,500 compared to $9,400 that we paid this year. And board training has been limited to $2,000. The reason for that is that our governance committee has instructed me to seek new vendors and new bids for both audit services and board training. So hopefully those numbers will come down as we find new vendors for that. Moving to the next section, I've combined the dues, fees, meals, travel, and office supplies and mailing lines. Wow, that's a lot to say, from 2022 into a new general operating line for the sake of clarity. So all of those are just combined from two lines to one line. I've also proposed a $20,000 reserve line as we have this year, so that remains unchanged. Finally, I'm proposing $65,000 in non-staffing programs and services for 2023. Of course, all of our staffing time goes to the business advocacy and support and grant writing, all the rest. This is $65,000 independent of that. This doesn't include any sponsorships or grants. The former sponsorships represented $17,500 in 2022. So we hope that with that, those are only sponsorships, that sponsorships and grants will continue to come in. Starting at the top of that programs and services line, I've combined advertising and marketing with events, music and marketing for a total of $33,000. $10,000 is allocated to business assistance programs. That could be, for instance, the gift card program that Tracy asked before. And $21,990 is allocated to streetscaping and placemaking, which includes our various existing and future plantings and landscaping. As you know, we currently maintain 35 separate planters where those plants are trees throughout the town. The 2021 Explore Refresh program and the Hurricane Ida Recovery Program have been closed out and therefore show no amount for 2023. They'll be removed from the version that you see at the next meeting. I just wanted to keep them there for reference. Overall, I believe this is a sensible, responsible, and effective budget to deliver the quality and quantity of service that our stakeholders expect. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions. You're first.
Tracy, did you have a question?
I have two questions. One was, part of this may be a question for this year. As of our last meeting before the summer, there was like $7,000 in assessments that were still due. A lot of them, I think you said, were properties that were going through changes. Like, did we receive those funds, or is there still a portion that's not received?
You know what, I don't have it in front of me. It's the monthly report, Stephen. I think we're 3,000 short, something like that. 4,000.
$2,340.
Okay, that's really, sounds pretty great.
That's pretty good.
But I guess even if it's just like a small percent off, like, should we allow for some small percent, or is it so
that's what
minor?
That's what the reserve is for.
Okay,
Yeah,
got
we
it.
don't collect
The
that.
reserve
So
covers
between the
it.
carryover
Got
and the
it.
reserve,
Okay,
you know, a de minimis number like $2,300.
got it. Now I say that's really, that's
I think it's
very
great.
positive. Yeah. I guess my other question, I'm just digesting this. I see you said you combine kind of advertising, marketing with events, music, and marketing. But we were at a total this year of 41,000, and now we're going down to 33. So I guess I just want to check if I add those two lines together.
Yeah, so.
Just understand what we're,
Right, so
because it sounds like we have a lot going on. I want to make sure we have enough funding to market things in the way we are.
So the strategy there is that's the line item that you can get the sponsorship dollars from, right? Because people are gonna sponsor live music, they're gonna
Okay.
sponsor events like they did this year, right? So
Mhm.
this year we had 17,000 that was allocated to those lines, right? So when you're budgeting this, and you obviously have to, you can only go so high with certain things, right? So the thinking there is, yeah, there's $33,000, but the intention should be to raise another 10, 15, 20, so that 33 becomes 50.
Okay.
So that's why you see it here, because remember,
Okay.
there's no sponsorships
Mhm.
included in
Okay.
this.
But you were
because we can't-
expecting that we're going to be getting sponsorship, so it's not that we're gonna be spending less money
Yeah, and if
in
you look
these
at,
areas.
exactly, the intention is, and Stephen, if you look at that, the monthly report again, I think the real operating budget is about $300,000. So the assessment, plus what the town pays, plus sponsorships, plus carryover funds, it all, so you know, you're really only collecting $200,000 in special assessment, but the budget is actually much larger than that.
Okay, thank you.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
So it's sort of the one place where you can borrow in a budget, because you know that you can potentially bring in additional
Mhm.
sponsor dollars.
Steve, maybe explain the advertising and marketing line, which was that was the hard copy sort of advertising. I'm looking from last year to this year, $8,500 to zero.
Yeah, that's exactly what I just.
Oh, I'm
just said,
sorry.
Tracy, yeah.
I'm sorry. That's
So
the
I
same.
combined them. And
Gotcha.
then the intention is to receive sponsorship dollars
Gotcha.
to make up that difference, yeah.
Thank you.
Because we have a finite income, right? We have an assessment, we have a payment from the town, we have a carryover, and then anything beyond that, I can't predict in a budget. So I have to show you only up to the amount that I know we're gonna collect.
Anybody else have questions on this? I think that's it.
So if anyone has comments between now and the next meeting, please feel free to reach out to me. Otherwise, I will present this as is at our annual meeting. Okay,
Very good.
thank you.
I'm gonna call. I have- Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
So I do have something on here for executive session. I see there is a resolution. Just generally speaking, I know it's legal advice. Well, maybe a tad less general. What is our legal advice? What area are we talking about? Is it governance? Is it litigation? Is it
Governance related to operations.
to operations? Okay.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Okay, so we would need a motion to go into, just before I take that motion, we're not taking action on anything when we come out, right? Okay, so there's no anticipated action.
Good night.
Have a good evening. So I have a motion,
Thank you.
a motion to go into executive session to discuss something that's under attorney-client privilege. Have a motion? Motion. Okay, second?
Second.
All right. We don't need a roll call, do we? Can we do, well, all in favor, aye?
Yeah.
Okay, executive
Aye.
session it is.
Aye. Yeah.
I saw an email. It's in September.
I
Okay.
said my mom, I was in the hospital.
Okay,
for like a
we're
week
back
and a
in
half,
session.
and
We
out of-
came out of executive session. I don't think there's any more business before the board.
To go into close.
Mr. Grillo, there's no more business, right?
There is no more business, other than
Okay,
you
so
announcing.
what I
any of
can
those-
say,
Yeah.
I can say two things. Our next meeting, Thursday, October 13th, please note at 5:30 PM, earlier time.
For public comment.
October 13th at 5:30 PM, right, for public comment. What is the?
Would you like me to do that?
Sure.
So we have two available seats that we will have to advertise to the public. That is what we're doing at the moment. We'll continue to do that. The first is a business operator, AKA tenant seat. So any tenant in the district is eligible to participate. You can also be an owner operator of just tenants. I apologize. So that seat is open. You can go to the town's volunteer form later this year and submit a volunteer application. We do not choose any of our board members. The township committee does. So that appointment will follow just like any other appointment in the town. We also have an property owner seat that is available. So anybody that's interested in filling that seat can go to the township website and apply. So one seat for a tenant, one seat for a property owner. The township committee makes that decision in early January, but those two seats are available due to the conclusions of terms.
Come join, it's lots of fun. Okay, any other business before we adjourn? Okay, motion to adjourn?
Motion.
I think we moved.
Jackie?